Okay, everyone, we are starting part 3 in Echo. And what you can't see at the beginning of this chapter is that we are in Southern California in December 1942. If we understand what's going on in history, this is after the United States has entered World War II. And so we had before World War II in with Mike, and now several years have passed, and this is right at the beginning of World War II. And we're going to be meeting in this section a girl named Ivy. In La Colonia, a barrio of whitewashed bungalows on the outskirts of Fresno County, Ivy Maria Lopez and her mother walked toward the post office hoping for a letter. Now, in that one sentence, we can tell that we're dealing with a girl who is Hispanic. So the family is, we don't know yet if it's from Mexico or they have some sort of Hispanic background. Barrio is like a Spanish word of like for a neighborhood. La Colonia sounds Spanish. Lopez is sounds kind of like a Mexican last name. So that's the kind of neighborhood we're in right now. With one hand, Mama clutched to her neck her heavy sweater, and with the other, she held an empty laundry basket. Ivy dawdled, playing the harmonica. She was far enough away that Mama couldn't hear the music, but she kept the notes low and muted anyway. Next week, she would be on the radio with her class. She hadn't told Mama and Papa the surprise yet. Her teacher, Miss Delgado, had chosen her to perform a solo. "Come, Ivy," called Mama. "We need to get the mail and the laundry before dark." She looked up, and before the rain. Ivy hurried to keep up, her eyes following Mama's. Clouds the color of charcoal smudged the sky, brooding. She slipped the harmonica inside the jacket, his gray wool jacket with its hidden pocket that zipped so pennies could not escape. "Mama, is it possible to be inside a song?" "Ivy, what nonsense is this? When I play the harmonica, I feel like I'm traveling on the notes to faraway places." In the distance, a truck horn beeped 5 times. Mama groaned. "Oh, Ivy, there's no time for your silliness. The mail is just arriving. We will have to wait for the clerk to call names. You go to the post office and I will get the clothes." "Can I meet Araceli after?" asked Ivy. "I promised her." "Do you have schoolwork? You know how Papa feels about—" Ivy shook her head. "Miss Delgado says our only assignment is to practice our songs for the performance next week." She opened both arms wide. "Presenting Miss Delgado's 5th grade class on the Colgate Family Hour." Mama smiled, but it was half-hearted. "Yes, I know." "Do you think everyone in La Colonia will listen? And even people farther away than Fresno will hear? Do you think the radio station will ask us back for more performances?" Mama's brow furrowed. "Ivy, always with so many questions about frivolous things. This is why Papa says you have your head in the clouds. You must come down to earth." Her eyes drifted across the barrio in the direction of the post office. Ivy could see she was too preoccupied to indulge her, meaning she was too worried to really pay attention or to really give Ivy the attention she's wanting. Still, Mama's words stung. Ivy couldn't help asking questions, and playing harmonica on the radio wasn't any more frivolous, means not important, than her older brother, Fernando, playing basketball in high school. Mama and Papa never said that was frivolous. They went to every game. Ivy stuffed down her hurt feelings. She was sure when they heard her solo on the radio, they would see what Miss Delgado already knew. There was something remarkable about Ivy, too. "If there is mail, bring it to us before you meet Araceli." "I will." Ivy stood on tiptoe to kiss Mama's cheek. As she watched Mama walk away, swaying toward the community clotheslines, the basket perched on a hip, she couldn't help but notice how much she and Fernando resembled her. Tall, thin, and wide-eyed, with thick, dark hair. Papa was the opposite. Short, round, bald, and when he smiled, squinty-eyed. Ivy touched one of her long braids. Did Fernando look more like Papa now that his head was shaved? Okay, are we getting some information? Fernando's head is shaved. She had a jacket on, and as she said, his jacket. Where do we think Fernando is? Nearby, someone played Silent Night on a guitar. As she walked, Ivy raised her harmonica and accompanied the music. Christmas lights glowed in bungalow windows. Dark billows shifted overhead. A breeze lifted. Ivy's imagination filled with the blur of the colored lights, the tender song, and the whiff of rain-soaked earth on the wind. She closed her eyes and felt herself drift somewhere in time. She was a vagabond in a jeweled robe, following a caravan across the everlasting sand under a starlit sky. All is calm, all is bright. When the song finished, she looked up to see her neighbors, Mrs. Perez and her daughter-in-law, listening and nodding. People paid attention when she played the harmonica. They took her seriously and appreciated her talent. When Mama and Papa heard her performance at the radio station, Ivy hoped they would too. Inside the post office, she wiggled through the crowd to the front counter and waited for the clerk to open the mail sack. Recruitment posters covered each wall. Join the Army Nurse Corps. Army Airborne all the way. Man the guns. Join the Navy. Always advance with the Marines. It seemed the United States military wanted everyone over 18 for something, although Fernando hadn't needed a poster to convince him. Okay, that tells us right there, Fernando hadn't needed a poster, so where is he? He's serving in the war, isn't he? As the clerk called out names, Ivy watched the hungry eyes of mothers and young wives. Why are they hungry if they're in the post office? What are they hungry for? They're not hungry for food. They're hungry for information, right? They want letters. Why? Because it's war and their husbands and their sons are away. Alberto Moreno, Martina Alvarado, Maria Pena, Jose Hernandez, Elena Guzman, Victor Lopez. Ivy's heart jumped. Here! She raised her hand and reached for the large, fat envelope addressed to Papa, with a row of 3-cent stamps affixed to it. She studied the return address and felt a pinch of disappointment. It was not from Fernando. It had been well over a month since they last heard from him, and each day Mama and Papa grew more tense. She waited until the clerk shook out the bag and said, "That is all for now, my friends. If not today, maybe tomorrow." Ivy hurried back to the bungalow, where she found Papa sitting at the kitchen table. His eyes lit up when he saw the envelope. "A letter?" Ivy laid it on the table. "Sorry, Papa. It is not from Nando." She headed toward the door. "Wait! Where are you going in such a hurry? It is almost dark." She turned. "To meet Araceli. Mama said I could." "Come back very soon," he waved, opened the envelope, and began to read. Before Ivy reached the front door, she heard Papa calling Mama's name. "Luz! Luz!" Mama rushed from the bedroom. "Victor, what is it?" Ivy paused, her hand on the doorknob. "It is from my cousin Guillermo. It is the miracle we have been waiting for, a farm in Orange County near Los Angeles. Guillermo made the arrangements and has sent the papers." Ivy's heart pounded, and she whispered, "No." Papa's voice carried. "The owner needs someone who knows about supervising and irrigation. That's me. There is a letter for you, too, from his wife Bertina, and the papers to register Ivy for school, and all the instructions from the owner. Ivy Maria, we have news." Ivy didn't wait to hear more. She pulled open the door and ran. Okay, so I sent you some questions today for part 3. And the first question is, what upcoming event is Ivy excited about? So the whole first chapter she was talking about, we see her thinking about something she's looking forward to. What is it? And how do her parents feel about it? Do they feel it's important? Do you think they're looking forward to it as much? What do you think their feelings are? And then the second one says, why didn't Ivy want to hear the news from the letter? So we don't see her waiting around, do we? How do we know she doesn't want to know? She runs out the door, right? Instead of waiting to hear. And it says why. Why do you think that she didn't want to hear the news from the letter. What do you think she knows, and why is she not wanting to hear it? Okay. In the comments below, give me one sentence about Ivy. So it can either tell me something that she thinks is important. What do you think she's like? You can tell me a little bit about where she lives, who her parents are. We've seen several things. I could list probably 10 things right down a row of things that we've already learned about Ivy just in this short chapter. So give me one good sentence in the comments below telling me about Ivy. Don't forget your capital letter and your period.